Hello everyone and welcome back to The Little Quilter. Today I wanted to go over a new project. Yes, I have a problem. I have not put the binding on the Barnstar quilt, even though it's been on my to-do list for the past couple of months. I've got the Red Sampler Quilt on the quilting loom right now that I'm working on, and behind me you can see all of the Kite in a Square blocks that I still have to do for the Kite in a Square block quilt. So I have all of these projects going on. On top of that, I just recently shared with you guys about all of my works in progress and quilts that I want to do, quilts that I have fabric ready to go and use, as well as patterns ready to go and use. And yet I have had the siren song of this quilt calling me for a while. I saw this quilt back in 2022. It was released as a block of the month quilt kit. And the reason that I did not purchase it at this time were twofold. So, one reason is the design of the quilt, while incredibly beautiful, was also incredibly overwhelming to me. I just really wasn't sure if I could accomplish that type of quilting at the time of last year. And I probably could have, but this year I've decided I'm going to accept that challenge and I think I can do it. The second reason that I didn't do this quilt is that her quilt that she did was beautiful, but she didn't list any of the fabrics that she had used, and the block of the month kit, which normally I'm used to a block of the month kit coming with fabric and the directions, doesn't come with any fabric. So she does provide you with all that you need for either purchasing yardage or using your scraps. Well, my scrap collection, which I'll show you here, is not very intense. It's also extremely unorganized, and it is a lot of randomness. And that some of that comes from doing block of the month. Some of it comes from the fabric that I purchased years and years ago when I first started quilting, and they just don't all mesh very well. So, and I also don't have a large color palette to choose from, which this quilt is very colorful. So I will quit teasing you guys and go ahead and show you the quilt that I have purchased, or the quilt design that I have purchased is by Rachel Hauser, and it is the Pas de Deux quilt. And this is the month one sample page, first page of the Pas de Deux month one. And I'm super excited about this quilt. As you can see, it is very, very intricate. It is a beautiful design. She has in there listed everything you need for purchasing yardage or if you were going to use scraps. Initially, my plan had been to purchase fabric month by month based on what her recommendations were for colors, etc. However, as I started looking through the first month to purchase fabric for it, which I believe a lot of it was purples, I became really overwhelmed. My local quilt shop doesn't really have enough of that color palette as well for me to purchase from, and so I went online, and that just overwhelmed me even more. And then I started thinking, I'm going to purchase fabric this month out of multiple collections and then hope that I can then coordinate that with the future months. And it was too much. I decided that was not going to work. I needed to just purchase a whole thing of fabric all at once. This led me to the realization that what I needed to do was to purchase from a fabric designer. Every fabric designer out there has kind of a style to their fabric. So you have a style between Lori Holt's quilt, you have a style from a Quilting Life's fabric, so those designs work really well between each collection because it's the same designer. And so I took a step back and thought, who did this quilt match? Who did I think would look really great or have great fabrics for this quilt? And I immediately thought of Edyta Sitar in Laundry Basket Quilts. Her fabric design is so gorgeous, and her quilt designs are very geometric as well, so I thought that would work perfectly. I immediately went to her website and started looking at her fabric and found that she actually has bundles. Let me show you. These were some of the first bundles that I purchased. So really gorgeous colors. I'll show you a close-up of them as well. They came in a myriad of sizes, so you could get them in fat eighths, you could get them in half yards, and initially in my color choices, the ones that I saw, all of them worked really well, except I didn't see a purple one. And so I decided what I would do would be to purchase this neutral bundle of fabric, which is gorgeous, and replace all of the purple fabric in the quilt with neutrals or other colors to sort of pop as well. And as I continued to pontificate while I waited for my quilt fabric to come, I kind of came to the realization that I didn't like that. I had looked at a lot of quilts on Pinterest, on Instagram, of the pas de deux quilt that people had finished, and a lot of them had that purple fabric in there, and it was one of the parts of the quilt that I really loved. It just allowed for this really big pop of color that just went really well with the quilt. So I went back to her website and actually found, I don't know if they were out of stock or I just didn't navigate properly, but I found that she has a color wheel bundle. One of those was the lemon drop, which gave me a few more colors, and there was also a purple color wheel. So I definitely got some more purples up here. I did get some more blues as well, which I think there's only one duplicate in there from the other blue fabrics I have, so that's great news as well. And I think that that will be enough to give me that color pop that I want. But I also got, last but not least, was just another neutral palette, because I still think I'm going to try and throw some more of those neutral colors in there. I don't think her quilt design actually calls for white fabric anywhere in there, but I'm going to try and pop some in here and there. I think it'll just give it a little bit of a softer look. My current plan is to continue this as a block of the month and to work on it every month, a certain amount on it. This quilt is obviously a third project that I'm starting, which is a bit crazy, and I'm doing this on top of filming for you guys, working on my quilt, working on the kite quilt. So it's a bit of a crazy thought process that I'm going to start doing this, but I really, really like this quilt, and I really like having the ability to mix it up some. So jumping from project to project really keeps quilting interesting for me. Not that these projects aren't interesting, but it's just nice to do something different, you know, to come in and work with a different set of beautiful fabric and then jump back to another part. You know, right now, the kite in a square block quilt, I'm doing a lot of chain sewing. And then after I chain sew, I'm doing a lot of just ironing, and wow, that can be really relaxing and nice to do in the evenings downstairs with my husband. Sometimes you just want something different to do. And so that's where I'm hoping that this pas de deux quilt is going to kind of fill in that other little portion that I like, because I do generally have a block of the month quilt going at any point during the year. And I have had that going on for the past year. I've always had a block of the month coming in. So this is going to serve as my block of the month. I know in a couple months I'm going to have the block of the month quilt by Elizabeth Hartman. Obviously by that time I'm hoping my kite in a square block quilt is going to be done, and we will be moving on to another quilt on the quilting loom by that time. But I think it's going to be good. It's a little crazy, but I think it's going to be good. So I hope that you guys are excited to come along this journey with me. And as before, I'll show you again the Pas de Deux quilt by Rachel Hauser. I will link it down below if you're interested in purchasing. This is the PDF file that comes with it. And like I said, you're going to get all of them. It gives you everything you need to know on how to do it, as well as if there are any parts of it that you actually need to print something, you can print it and do it that way. So I will be working on this quilt, and I hope to be sharing my progress with you guys Obviously, I can't share any of the sizes or any details on the specifics of the pattern, so if you are interested in that, link it down below. In future videos, I will do that as well. It's a gorgeous quilt pattern, and so far I've been really impressed with the detail that is gone into this. It's almost on the level, I think, of Elizabeth Hartman, so it's a pretty detailed PDF to get you started. Again, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment down below, and we'll see you next time on The Little Quilter. Thanks.